Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malevsky, the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. In today's hot seat, I have a very special guest and co-founder of a really cool company, Nozomi Networks. Sitting in that hot seat is Andrea Carcano, and not only did he co-found this company, he's the chief product officer, so he's going to tell us a lot about what he can do to secure your critical infrastructure. Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So tell us, how is Nozomi Networks doing things to secure critical infrastructure, and why is it so important? Give us some examples.
So let me say, I think that is due to the fact that in my career, I invested a lot of time working on critical infrastructure protection. So I did a PhD, I work in a big oil and gas company, and then I was working on the defensive side, and then on the offensive side, try to protect critical infrastructure. And that's basically where the idea came out, right? So in the last 10 years, we saw malware, become more sophisticated and tailored for attack critical infrastructure. And imagine if a malware is able to attack, for example, a power plant or attack anything that is critical for our day-by-day life, that could be very catastrophic. So that's what we're trying to do in Nozomi Networks. We develop a specific product, built and developed in order to protect the critical infrastructure against the tailored malware attacking ICS and SCADA.
So the problem in ICS and SCADA is we're dealing with old equipment that's supposed to protect things or help make things work. For example, moving the rods in and out of the nuclear reactor.
Correct.
Right, like Siemens equipment that was attacked with the Stuxnet. And then we've got things that might cause a train to switch tracks.
Exactly.
And we've got things that could turn heat on and off, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking at infrastructure or open up a water dam or close it. Things that are really kind of old-fashioned. Now we're connecting them to the internet. For some reason, I don't know. I guess it's convenience, and these are the protocols we use. And now you plug that into a router, and now a hacker or a cyber criminal or cyber terrorist might send packets and payload, as you've talked about in this new form of malware, to cause physical harm, to maybe even harm human beings, cause a train to go off the tracks, cause a power plant to explode. A lot of bad things can happen. So this is the term critical infrastructure. It's also critically accessible to the bad guys.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing to stop that when all this equipment is old-fashioned and different? You can't put an agent on the Siemens controller.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why it's really important to come out with a dedicated solution. As you mentioned, absolutely correctly, these devices were designed 30 years ago. So the protocol was, at the beginning, some of them designed for work over serial connection, not even TCP/IP. So one of the most common and easy protocol, and one of the most, I think 60% of the plants out there and critical infrastructure are using this protocol is Modbus, for example. And Modbus was designed to work over serial, and then they came out with a version Modbus TCP/IP. So they basically connect plants to the network, and now they are exposed, right? The business advantage, as you mentioned, are a lot probably, but on the other side, for an hacker, and I can tell you because at the beginning of my PhD, that was my job, right? Building malware and virus in a protected environment, attacking this infrastructure is much more easier. So what we're doing in Nozomi is basically we develop an appliance that is able to listen in the passive way, and that is our initial product. Then we have a second product that I would like to talk later, but what we do is basically listen the traffic in the passive way, understand all the old protocols that are out there. Doesn't matter if they were developed 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we're able to reverse engineer in that protocol, understand it, and basically, we start to learn the physical process. We start to learn when is the right moment to open a valve, as you mentioned, or when is the right moment to increase the pump speed, and so on. And based on that, we're very good to detect if someone is trying to, change the standard behavior of an installation, of a critical installation.
We've got, let's say, a nuclear facility, and they've got internet protocols, but they're not connecting to public routers. How do they get their updates from you?
So there is different ways. So we give to the customer all different possibility. Mm-hmm. So the first one is the manual one. The manual one is always there, right?
So I can sneakernet your update over to
the customer machine. Can be in a safe network, in a DM zone, can download the update of the T-thread feed, and then can move in a separate network that is completely physically separated and basically install the update. The second thing is that this is the one that the majority of our customers are using, especially for plants, especially for oil and gas and transportation, mining, and so on. They basically have a centralized console that is sitting in a safe place in a DM zone that have access to internet. And also the sensors that are there in the OT infrastructure in the ICS network, they have a one-way connection back to the CMC. So the CMC cannot communicate back. The only things that the sensor can do is basically ask, do you have an update for me? And basically they'll load the update. But there is no possibility for an hacker, even if they're able to infect the CMC, to send any packets back to the ICS networks. So that is the second way to update it. The third way is, of course, everything's connected, but we don't suggest it.
That's rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you've looked at all three ways to get the data.
Yeah.
You're doing updates. How frequently?
So right now, let me say it really depends, but usually our OT thread feed get an updates every 2-3 days. We have something new. So that is more or less the frequency that we provide some new contents.
Where do you want to send our viewers? NozomiNetworks.com?
Yes, NozomiNetworks.com is our website. So there
they can learn more on that. Okay.
They can learn more and they can find tons of information about
Andrea,
that.
this is a really interesting interview and critical infrastructure. It starts with the word critical. So I want to thank you for sitting in the hot seat today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll send our viewers to NozomiNetworks.com. If you're worried about visibility in your critical infrastructure and about instant access to knowledge, this is the place to go when it comes to protecting that older equipment that you still need to run. So check them out and then come back to Cyber Defense TV for another exciting interview with a great executive like Andrea. Thank you so much.